Hey everyone, Reflected here, and today I would like to do a complete guide for my upcoming Arctic Thunder F-16 Viper campaign and show you all the special features in order to help you succeed when you play it. As you know, Baltic Dragon and I have been working on making two separate campaigns that are built around the same storyline. That is, Russia attacking Finland in February 2024, and then NATO picks up the glove and it turns into a full-on war. In Baltic's campaign, you'll be flying as a Finnish Hornet pilot, and in mine, as a USAF Viper pilot who was in a training detachment in the UK when the attack happened, so your unit was transferred to Rovaniemi, Finland to fight. This is going to be my first modern-day USAF campaign, so as usual, I did an immense amount of research to make sure I get all the procedures right and it's the most study-level simulation possible of such an experience. And of course, it's all combined with an engaging and complex storyline with plot twists and all, just like Paradise Lost or Fear the Bones, for example. It's only 10 missions, but it packs enough action for 15 or more. It will be an experience you'll never forget, I guarantee. A big shout out to Wingman for sponsoring both Baltic Dragon and I with their amazing Viper and Hornet gear, so that we could build and test these missions like they were meant to be played. Since it has many aspects of real-life USAF operations simulated, I thought I'd better collect these in a guide and explain them rather than having to answer questions later one by one, because some people don't read the campaign documentation. So let's dig in, shall we? Startup. I worked together with Carbon, a real-life active-duty Viper crew chief, to simulate the exact procedure, the way Vipers are started up in real life. It's like a coordinated dance with the crew chief, including checks of all the different systems. I've done a separate video about this. Watch it if you haven't already. I'll put a link in the description.
Ready for set. Speed brakes and flight controls clear. Set speed brakes and flight controls all clear. Nozzle closed, clear for run up. Run up.
I know there will be many players who buy a study level campaign then complain about it being study level. So yes, the crew chief startup can be skipped. But to figure out how, you'll need to read the campaign documentation PDF. You'll have exactly 20 minutes to start up and get ready, and you will need most of it in order to set up all your systems properly so you don't have to fiddle with them once airborne. You know, in the middle of the action, you can't afford too much heads down time, so better do everything on the ground. If you don't use all 20 minutes, you can still accelerate time. The time acceleration will automatically reset when the check-in time comes.
Sting 4-1, check in on uniform. Sting 4-2, loud and clear.
The missions are quite time sensitive, with large packages, coordinated push times, time on target and all, so just like in real life, it's not flexible at all. Immortality. Before taxiing, you can choose to be immortal for the mission using the F10 radio menu. This option will be removed after taxiing. I highly recommend selecting this option if you have limited time to play DCS, because I know it can be frustrating having to restart the whole mission because you got killed after 90 minutes of flying. The Mickey. Nope, not the mouse. Some UHF channels are encrypted so that the enemy cannot eavesdrop on you. The method used here is called half-quick. Essentially, the radio jumps to a new frequency every second, so anyone who's listening would have to jump to the same frequencies at the exact same time, which is impossible. You can even hear a popping sound in the background. This is also featured in the campaign.
Chainsaw Gimlet 2, mission number Alpha Tango 3102, flights of 4 Typhoons on station, Asbrag in Alpha Charlie 8, at base plus 16. Request Alpha Check, rock.
So these radios need to be synchronized. To do that, one agency, in this case the lead aircraft, passes the exact time of day, or TOD, through a signal also known as the Mickey. 5 minutes before check-in, you need to switch to UHF channel 20 to pass or receive this Mickey tone. In the campaign, it has no consequence if you don't do it, but it's a nice feature that adds to the realism. Check-in. When you're ready to go,
I suggest you first switch to VHF channel 7 and listen to the 80s to learn about the local weather conditions.
13. Altimeter 2935. Departure runway 21. Arrival runway 21. Visual approaches in use. Advise on initial contact you have information echo. Rovaniemi information echo 1115.
At exactly the brief time, the flight lead will call for a check-in on the TAC frequencies, UHF channel 1, and then do the same on VHF channel 1, so make sure your radios are set correctly.
Sting 4-1, check in on uniform. Sting 4-2, loud and clear. Sting 4-1, check in on Victor. Sting 4-2, loud and clear. Push 2 on Victor. Sting 4-1, check. 2.
Arming, dearming. Before the hold short point, you will reach the EOR, or the arming area. You need to stop here, follow the ground crew's instructions to perform the tire check, then stop, set the parking brakes, and raise your hands above the canopy bar to make sure you don't touch anything while they inspect the jet and arm the ordnance and remove the pins. The same thing will happen after you land. Titling your tape.
Captain John Brooks, Sting 4-1, mission number Alpha Tango 3105, 4 AGM 65 Deltas, takeoff time is 1210 Zulu, date is February 16th, 2024, tail number is 045.
While waiting at the EOR, you can use this time to title your tape using the F10 radio menu. In real life, pilots turned on their AVTR and recorded the most important details about the mission, so later the tape could be easily identified. Departure and approach procedures. You're going to be following real-life procedures around Rovaniemi. You'll find them on your kneeboard cards, but in a Viper, it's really easy. You just need to follow your waypoints. Put the thing on the thing. Switching radio channels. I found a pretty good way to prompt the player to switch to a given radio channel. During the mission, you'll need to use several different UHF and VHF frequencies, sometimes simultaneously. When you hear a radio message telling you to switch, the game will at first wait for you to do so. And if you do so within 10 seconds, the next radio messages will be triggered smoothly by the new frequency.
Sting 4, you are leaving Class C airspace. Clear tactical monitor call. Sting 4-1, switching. 2, push uniform 10, Victor 1. Sting 4-1, check Victor. 2. Sting 4-1, check uniform. 2. Chainsaw, Sting 4, mission number Alpha Tango 3105. We're a flight of 2 F-16s passing Marxo. We have 4 by AGM 65Ds and 20 Mike. Request clearance to Alpha Charlie 1.
If you are too slow or didn't pay attention, there will be a beep and a message on screen to remind you to switch.
Push 2 on Victor. Sting 4-1, check. 2.
This is great because if you know what you're doing and you're paying attention, you won't see or hear any message prompts or beeps that wouldn't be there in real life either. Nothing will make you snap out of the immersion of being there. Ops check.
Sting 4-1 ops check. 1 is 28, 32, 10, 5. Tank speeding. Sting 4-2 is 28, 32, 10, 4. Tank speeding.
This is something that USEF pilots do regularly, just a reminder for everyone in the flight to check their fuel and if everything still looks good. The fuel level voiceovers are not dynamic. That would have been too much work for no added value, so there may be a slight discrepancy depending on how generous you've been with the throttle. It's just a nice immersive detail. TAD frequencies. Sometimes you will need to contact agencies that are not pre-programmed into your radio. In this case, you'll need to break out your TAD chart where a frequency is assigned to a TAD code number. It's on your kneeboard cards.
Let's say they tell you to contact someone on TAD 124.
Chainsaw. Go ahead. We need you to carry out an emergency task. We have troops in contact just north of Salah, block 275 and 10. Company of the Finnish army got cut off by advancing Russian armor. Contact Whiplash 25 on TAD 124. Request you monitor guard. No joy. Ogo. Sting copies off. Pushing TAD 124.
Then you need to tune your radio to 351.75. If they just said switch to 351.75, the enemy would know where to switch as well, in case they were listening.
Whiplash 25, this is Sting 41.
DRYAD. Sometimes you will need to talk to agencies that require mutual authentication. When you talk to a FAC, how do you know he's not a Russian who captured the radio and he's not directing you to bomb some friendlies? Or how does the FAC know that you're not an Su-25 trying to find out their position so you can kill them? This is what DRYAD is for. In your keyboard cards, you'll find a cipher chart with random letters. The challenge will contain 2 letters and go something like this. Authenticate Juliet Whiskey. So in order to authenticate yourself, you need to look at line Juliet and move right until you find the letter Whiskey. The correct response is the letter exactly below Whiskey, so in line Kilo. So in our case, the response is Golf. Then the second party challenges the first.
Whiplash 25, Sting 41, authenticate Delta Romeo.
These tables change every day, so make sure you bring the latest one with you on your mission.
This is Whiplash 25, authenticate Papa. Quebec Whiskey Hotel.
Roger, I authenticate Yankee.
Authentication check. Send your check-in.
Roger, Sting 4, mission number Alpha Tango 3105. We're a flight of 2 USAF F-16.
Wingman control. For better control and a more complex and immersive experience, each flight member is set up as a different group in the mission editor. This means that the built-in default radio menu will not work if you want your wingman to do something. In the campaign, your flight members will do what they're supposed to do, and when your input is required, you'll be prompted to make a decision.
Roger, I'll go shooter, you go cover. Set up an orbit 10 miles to the west and watch out for any SAM launches. 2.
Sometimes when you're not looking, one AI is deactivated and a new one spawns in its place to prevent potential AI problems from breaking the mission and make the campaign more bulletproof and bug-free. Options.
Sting 4, chainsaw. Go ahead for Sting 4. Sting 4, we have an additional tasking for you. Swedish tank kilos found an enemy column further north, but they're protected by an SA-9. We need someone to take it out and clear a path for the helos. Roger, we still got about 20 mic plates out.
In most missions, you will face decision points. You can decide whether to accept or decline a new tasking depending on ordnance and fuel left, or decide who attacks a pop-up target while the other covers them. These decision points ensure that the campaign doesn't feel like it's on rails and you're just a passenger. Aerial refueling.
Buzz 2-1, clear to stern.
You will need to refuel in this campaign, unless you have the unlimited fuel cheat selected. The distances on the map are inherently long, and the Viper's fuel consumption is also a given. I can't bend time nor space, so some missions would not be possible without tanking. Get over it. Refueling in the Viper is not that hard, but if you flat out refuse to even try, learn and become a better pilot, which is the whole point of such campaigns, you can just enable the unlimited fuel cheat. You're entitled to play any way you want, but I'm also entitled to make my campaigns any way I like them. I went to great lengths recreating real-life refueling procedures, and it will be quite an exciting experience. When a two-ship formation refuels, the lead tanks first, while the wingman awaits on the tanker's left wing. When the lead is done, he moves to the tanker's right wing, while two refuels, who then rejoins on the lead's right wing before they break off. A four-ship refueling is a bit more complex. Lead rejoins on the tanker's left with 2 on its left wing. 3 rejoins on the tanker's right wing with 4 on his right wing. As lead moves behind the tanker, 2 moves inward to take his place on the tanker's left wing. When lead disconnects, he rejoins on the far left, the left wing of number 2. The next in turn is number 3, who moves behind the tanker, and number 4 moves inward to take his place. After disconnecting, he moves to the far right, outside of number 4. The next to refuel is number 2, while lead takes his original spot, and then the same is repeated by number 4 on the right side, and everyone ends up in the same position where they started. The DCS AI is known to lag, warp, and fly erratically when moving from one task to another, so be prepared and give them some space. They won't hurt each other. I set them all to Immortal for the tanking. Base reference altitude. Often you'll hear things like base +6 when it comes to altitude. It's a code system. Every day there's a pre-agreed base reference altitude. When altitudes are given on the radio, they say the difference relative to the BRA. So if the BRA is 9, base +6 means 15,000 feet. This way the enemy AAA gunners won't know exactly what altitude you're at and where to fire. You'll find it on your kneeboard, marked as BRA.
Chainsaw copies all. Good job. See you on station at base +6. Sting 4. 2, battle damage check. 2.
Battle damage check. When returning to base, you'll usually conduct a battle damage check. You need to know if you have any leaks, missing panels, bullet holes, whatever. So first, lead sends the wingman back, who flies under lead and crosses to the other side.
Looking good.
If everything looks good, lead gives to the lead and crosses under him to the other side, back where they all started. When it's a 4-ship flight, number 4 checks out everyone, then number 3 checks out number 4. Make sure you cooperate with the AI. Don't fly at 500 knots, and be where you're supposed to be when you give them the signals. If you do everything according to procedure, they'll never crash into you.
Alright, you're good.
Anti-G strain and breathing.
Tank 4-1, you're cleared hard on the tanks.
Roger. Keep your heads down. We're coming in danger close. Sting 4-1, rifle. 4-2's in from the west. Sting 4-1, rifle.
Just like in MiG Killers, these missions have custom, more realistic anti-G breathing sound effects implemented in order to increase immersion and the illusion of pulling high Gs and the stress of combat flying. They kick in above 5 Gs. I recommend that you turn off the default stock G breathing effects so that you only hear the custom one. Most people love it, some don't. Tough luck. No, of course, it's optional. At the start of the mission, you can choose from 5 different effects, including a unicorn fart sound. And of course, there will be a version for the Syria map, and optionally, you can choose to fly an A-10 or a Tomcat 2 if you so desire. And naturally, you don't have to go through the whole mission. There will be a push to shutdown option. Why bother risking your virtual life when you can jump right ahead and just shut down at the ramp and voila, mission complete. If you still haven't detected a hint of sarcasm in my voice, this campaign is probably not for you. In all seriousness, everything about this campaign is optional. You make your choice at the ED store to buy it or not. I'm being totally transparent about what it's gonna be like. If it's not something you like, no hard feelings. There are other great campaigns like the Gamblers or First In Weasels over Syria, and you have the same access to the mission editor as me. Alright, rant over, let's move on.
Sting 4-1, initial.
Overhead brake. USAF fighters don't land straight in during the daytime. They fly an overhead brake. 2070 feet MSL, so 1500 feet AGL, at 300 knots indicated. Upon reaching the approach end, the lead jet kisses off the wingman and brakes 180 degrees to the left to set up for the proper abeam distance. The wingman follows in 5 seconds, then 5 seconds later number 3 brakes, and so on. I made it happen in game, and it looks really cool, but it's important to note that the DCS AI is hard-coded for straight-in landings. Therefore, after your AI lead or wingman brakes, just forget about them. Don't expect them to fly a correct overhead pattern. They will land eventually, or not. It doesn't matter anyway.
Sting 4-1, left base, gear, stop 2-1.
Sting 4-1, clear to land, runway 21.
Sting 4-1, clear to land, 2-1. Sting 4-2, base gear stop.
Sting 4-2, clear to land, runway 21.
Sting 4-2, clear to land, 2-1.
Sting 4-1, clear the active enable, contact ground.
Sting 4-1, switching, flight go.
Completing the mission. Once you're down, tower will tell you to switch to ground frequency and vacate the runway. Turn off to the right when able.
Sting 4-1, check. 2. Dearming ground. Sting 4-1 is clear of the active on Lima.
Sting 4-1, no one in the crowd. Taxi to ramp Foxtrot via Kilo.
Via Kilo to ramp Foxtrot, Sting 4-1.
There will be a dearming area between taxiway November and the ramp on taxiway Kilo. The mission counts as successfully completed when you are cleared from the dearming area and proceed to the ramp. You will see a message on screen and hear the mission complete music. If you stop at the ramp, your crew chief will connect his headset and guide you through the shutdown using real-life procedures, but that part is optional, not required for mission success. Alright, I hope you found this interesting and it will help you navigate your way through this epic campaign. I'm really proud of the result, and I think you're gonna love it too. Don't forget to subscribe for further campaign updates. See ya!
Welcome back, sir. How do you hear me? Hey, Chief, got you loud and clear. Clear to pin the APU. Copy.
pinned up. Clear shutdown.
All right, shutting down. See you outside, Chief.